Learning English vocabulary fast sounds like a dream, right? But let me tell you, it's not impossible. I know that feeling when you're trying to speak and suddenly, boom, the word you need just disappears. Your brain goes blank and you start thinking, what was that word again? It's frustrating, and trust me, I've been there. But the good news is, there's a way to fix this. And no, it's not about memorizing long word lists that you forget the next day. It's about learning smarter, not harder. So let's get straight to it. How do you build vocabulary fast? First, let's talk about a mistake most people make. A lot of learners think they need to sit down with a big dictionary and start memorizing. But think about it. Do native speakers learn this way? Number. They learn by hearing words in real conversations. They learn by using them. So if you want to learn words fast, you need to see them in action. One of the best ways to do this? Stories. Stories are powerful. Your brain loves stories. That's why you remember movie plots better than random facts. When you learn words inside a story, they stick. You don't just see the word. You see it in a situation. You feel it. And because of that, your brain makes a stronger connection. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're learning the word embarrassed. If you just read the definition, you might forget it. But if I tell you a story about the time I walked into the wrong classroom and everyone stared at me, you'll remember it. Why? Because now the word has an emotion. You can picture the moment. That's how you make words stick. But what if you don't have time to read long stories? No problem, even short ones work. In fact, I used to learn new words by watching short clips from movies and TV shows. Whenever I heard a word I didn't know, I paused, wrote it down, and looked it up. But here's the key. I didn't just write the meaning. I also wrote the sentence where I found it. That way, I could understand how the word was used. And then, I took it one step further. I created my own sentence using that word. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. When you create a sentence yourself, your brain takes ownership of the word. It becomes yours, not just something you read in a book. Now, let's talk about repetition. Repetition is everything, but not the boring kind. You don't need to write a word 50 times. Instead, you need to see it naturally, again and again, over time. This is called spaced repetition, and it's a game changer. Basically, you review words at specific times, after a few hours, then after a day, then after a week. Why? Because this is how your brain remembers long term. There are apps that do this for you, like Anki or Quizlet. But honestly, even a simple notebook works. I used to keep a small vocabulary journal. Every day I added 3 to 5 words, not too many, just a few. Then, the next day, I reviewed yesterday's words before adding new ones. And here's another trick. Connect new words to something personal. Let's say you learn the word delicious. Don't just write, delicious means tasty. Instead, think of your favorite food. If you love pizza, write, pizza is delicious. Now, every time you hear delicious, you'll remember pizza. This makes words real for you, not just random sounds. Another great way to learn faster? Use synonyms. Let's say you learn the word big. Instead of stopping there, learn a few more. Huge, enormous, massive, gigantic. Now, instead of memorizing one word, you've learned 4. But here's the fun part. These words aren't exactly the same. They have different feelings. Huge is different from gigantic. Massive sounds stronger than big. By learning these differences, you understand English at a deeper level. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but how do I use all these words in real life? Simple. Talk to yourself. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. Every day, take a few words you learned and try to use them in a sentence, even if you're alone. When you speak, your brain works differently than when you just read. Speaking forces you to remember words faster. And if you want to go even further, try recording yourself. Take your phone, pick a topic, and just start talking. You don't need to be perfect. The goal is to use the words, not just recognize them. Trust me, when you listen to yourself later, you'll notice mistakes. but that's a good thing, because the next time you'll fix them. Let's talk about reading. If you want to build vocabulary fast, you need to read every day. But here's the secret. Don't start with difficult books. If the text is too hard, you'll stop reading. Instead, find something easy but interesting. For example, if you like sports, read sports news. If you like technology, read about new gadgets. When you enjoy the topic, learning feels natural. And don't worry if you don't understand every word. In fact, don't look up every word. Try to guess the meaning from the sentence first. This is what native speakers do. Then, if the word is really important, look it up. But don't just read the definition. Check examples. See how it's used in different ways. And one more thing. Be patient. Vocabulary takes time. Even if you learn 5 new words a day, that's 1,800 words a year. Imagine how much better your English will be. The key is consistency. A little every day is better than a lot once a month. So, to sum up, don't memorize words alone. Learn them inside stories, conversations, and real situations. Use repetition, but make it smart. Connect words to your life. Speak even if it's just to yourself. Read every day. And most importantly, enjoy the process. Because when you have fun, you learn faster. Now, here's your challenge. Pick one of these methods and try it today, just one. Maybe you'll start a vocabulary journal. Maybe you'll talk to yourself in English for 5 minutes. Whatever it is, do it now. Because the faster you start, the faster you improve. Now, here's your challenge. Pick one of these methods and try it today. Just one. Maybe you'll start a vocabulary journal. Maybe you'll talk to yourself in English for 5 minutes. Whatever it is, do it now. Because the faster you start, the faster you improve. But wait, let's talk about something really important. A lot of people start learning vocabulary with excitement, but after a few days, they stop. Why? Because they don't see results immediately. And this is where most learners make a big mistake. They think, oh, I forgot the words I learned yesterday. Maybe I'm not good at English. But that's not true. The problem is not you, it's the method. Think of your brain like a garden. When you plant a seed, do you see a big tree the next day? Number. It takes time. You have to water it, give it sunlight, and wait. Learning vocabulary is the same. At first, the words might feel small, weak, or even invisible. But if you keep practicing one day, you'll realize, boom, you know them without thinking. Now, let me give you a fun way to remember words faster. It's called the memory palace technique. This technique has been used by memory champions, people who can remember hundreds of words in minutes. But the good news? You don't need to be a champion to use it. Here's how it works. Imagine your house. You know every part of it, right? The kitchen, the living room, your bedroom. Now, when you learn a new word, don't just write it down. Put it inside your house. For example, let's say you learn the word refrigerator. Instead of just memorizing it, imagine a giant refrigerator inside your living room. Maybe it's so big, you can't even sit on your sofa. The crazier the image, the better. Your brain loves funny, weird things. That's why you remember strange dreams. But forget boring textbooks. Now, every time you walk into your real living room, guess what happens? Your brain will think of that crazy refrigerator. And boom, you remember the word without effort. You can do this with any word. If you learn umbrella, imagine a huge umbrella inside your bathroom. If you learn elephant, imagine an elephant cooking in your kitchen. The more visual and crazy your images, the stronger your memory becomes. And speaking of visualization, let's talk about another trick, drawing your vocabulary. You don't need to be an artist. Even simple stick figures help. If you learn the word smile, draw a happy face. If you learn angry, draw an angry face. This works because your brain remembers images better than words. In fact, studies show that people remember 65% more when they use pictures instead of just reading. Now let's talk about a method that many learners ignore, but it's super powerful. It's called using your body to remember words. Sounds weird? Let me explain. When you move while learning, your brain connects words to physical actions. This makes them stick faster. For example, let's say you're learning action words like jump, run, or dance. Instead of just reading them, do them. When you say jump, actually jump. When you say run, move your legs like you're running. It may feel silly, but trust me, it works. Even if you're learning non-action words, you can create gestures. If you learn happy, touch your heart and smile. If you learn cold, hug yourself and pretend you're freezing. Why does this work? Because your brain is not just a machine for words, it's connected to your body. And the more senses you use, the stronger your memory. This is why children learn languages so fast. They don't just sit and read, they play, they move, they feel the words. Now, let's talk about one of the best ways to grow your vocabulary: word families. Instead of learning words one by one, learn groups of related words together. This saves time and helps you understand English deeper. I hope it helped you subscribe